Hello, my name is Kathy Webb, and I am excited to be talking to you today about disability and the social construction of disability. I am a white woman with brown curly-ish hair and blue glasses. I identify as a disabled person and also have a degree in disability studies, so I have some experience in what I'm going to be talking about today. So to start off, what is disability? Well, that's kind of a trick question in a lot of ways because there are a ton of different definitions of what disability is. So, depending on where you're looking, what country you're in, what document you're looking at, that definition could be different. So, in general, a disability is something that impacts the ability of somebody to function in the world. And that could be as varied as somebody having an attitude about them that they can't do something, to somebody who can't access things because of their physical limitations, or somebody whose brain just works differently in the world. So you have a ton of different options as to what a disability might be. Some examples could be paralysis, bipolar disorder, um, lots and lots of things. Down syndrome, autism, um, chronic pain, ulcerative colitis, even pregnancy is listed as a disability during the period in which a person is pregnant. So lots of things can be considered a disability. What really makes it a disability in our society is the impact that it has on that person's life. Something might get in the way of letting them do what they want to do or live the life that they want to live. And that could be, for example, somebody with albinism, where their skin color doesn't have any pigmentation. In Africa, people with albinism very much stand out and are oppressed, not because they can't do things like everybody else, but because they're seen as so different that they're set apart and they're treated differently. It could be somebody who is a wheelchair user who constantly has people patting them on the head and treating them like a child simply because they live in the world seated instead of on two strong, sturdy legs, which is considered to be the norm. So, all of this really comes back to the idea that disability is socially constructed. Now, what I mean by that is that society around us determines what disability is. So, the easiest example of this is a wheelchair user. If they come to a staircase, they are disabled by it. They cannot utilize that staircase to get to the second story because of how it is constructed and the fact that it does not work with their particular body. Now, if that same person comes to a staircase with an elevator right next to it, they're no longer disabled by that staircase because they have access to the second story, or a ramp can provide the same kind of access. And that counts for lots of things, right? So, somebody who is deaf or hard of hearing has better access when they have a sign language interpreter or closed captioning, because that allows them to interact with the world in the way that they need to interact with the world. So, social construction is really this idea that disability is created by society. The systems and structures that are in place don't work for all body minds. And because not all body minds have access, those people are then disabled. It's not through that own person's fault. It's not that that person needs to find a cure or be healed or any of those kind of things. It's that society needs to change in order for that person to have full access. So there's lots of different ways that this manifests, but what really is important is understanding that this is not on the person with the disability to change. Really, it's about society and the way that society is structured. So we need changes in laws, we need changes in attitudes, we need things that provide an opportunity for people to have full and complete access to everything that everyone else has full and complete access to. We need things like employers who don't discriminate during job searches. We need the fact that being paid less than the minimum wage is acceptable for disabled workers, especially those with intellectual disabilities, to no longer be an acceptable law. We need society to change in order to stop these systems and structures from disabling us. So we have to consider what it is in society that we can do, that we need to change, how our attitudes and perceptions impact things, and consider that impact on disability. So like I mentioned before, disability is very nebulous, it's very big. There's no one perfect definition of what disability is. But what we do know is that people with disabilities are consistently oppressed and discriminated against by the society in which they live. And for them to be able to access everything fully, for us to have the opportunity to participate like everybody else and to be a part of society that we want to be a part of, we need society to change, to be open to change and to be ready for change. And that starts with hearts and minds. So educating yourself like you're doing right now is really helpful in moving forward the change in society. And I am just hopeful that this video gave you a little clarity about how the world around us impacts disability. And I know I didn't give you a real concrete definition of disability, but I don't know that there is one single solitary definition. So hopefully you are able to utilize what you've learned here today to be a better ally and friend to people who have disabilities, and to consider how the world around you might need to change in order for everybody to be full and active participants. Thanks for listening.